Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I saw another one of Jubilee's Middle Ground episodes, and I must say I really enjoyed Jubilee's Middle Ground episodes. I always learn so much, and this one is no different. So I thought I would share it with you guys, and maybe you'll learn something too, hopefully. All right, here is the first prompt.
Being fat or skinny is a choice.
Of course, not every factor is purely choice. I don't think that every factor is, but I do think a majority of it is. And in most cases, for most people, being skinny or being fat is about willpower. It's about the environment you grow up in, sure.
I do agree with Dominic. There are so many factors that can affect someone's weight, but a lot of those factors are not necessarily the rules, they're exceptions. So I would say that at the end of the day, it really is a choice. And like he was saying, it's your environment, it's who you associate yourself with. It's all a choice for the most part. So I do agree with him on that, because say you want to lose weight and you decide to associate yourself with a group of people who like to eat a lot of junk food, drink alcohol, party all the time, and eat late all the time, or love to snack on anything and everything. Sooner or later, it's going to be harder and harder for you to resist the temptation, or to not want to fit in. You're going to end up making bad choices as well. But if you surround yourself with a group of healthy people who like to make healthy choices as far as what they're putting in their body, exercising and all that good stuff, that stuff is going to end up rubbing off on you, and you will be able to live that lifestyle, which is healthier than, say, the other group of people. So I do agree with him that at the end of the day, it's all about choices, outside of those cases that are a little bit more complicated and more nuanced. But let's continue.
I grew up in a very poor home, so where my mom couldn't provide the meals that she could healthily. So when we would get free meals, even then, it would be canned food.
I understand what Maria was saying, but I still think it's all about the choices that you make. As a child, you don't have control over what your parents feed you, and sometimes those parents are making decisions based on what they know, and they just want to feed you and keep you alive. And sometimes for them, they're doing the best that they can. So although I understand that her parents' choices in food may have affected how she eats now as an older person, it's still your job to make sure that you do the work, you do the research, so that you can better feed yourself as an adult. Now, she mentioned something about being into sports and not eating. That is the biggest disservice you can do to your body. I had to learn that the hard way. When you don't feed yourself the proper nutrients, your body is not worried about losing weight. Your body is worried about holding on to all the fat that it can, because it's your brain is telling your body hey, it looks like we're not getting food. Hold on to everything, because we don't know when we're going to get our next meal. So you sitting here eating lettuce and eating ice before practice, that is not good at all. I say all this to say that for the most part, it is a choice outside of a very few cases where it's a little more complicated, but not impossible. But for the most part, being fat or being skinny is a choice.
You should be able to have a balance. You should be able to go into the junk food aisle like other skinny people do.
I don't think skinny people go into this junk food aisle.
They certainly do.
They do.
There is this stigma or this misunderstanding that skinny people don't eat junk food or they don't eat bad. As a former skinny toothpick person that endured a lot of bullying for being skinny, I can tell you that skinny people eat very terribly. So that's a fallacy. It's a misconception that skinny people are not out here eating bad. I ate all the McChickens. I ate all the double cheeseburgers. I ate bad more days in the week than I actually ate good. So that's not true. We eat bad. Well, not we, because I'm not part of that crew anymore, but I'm speaking as a former skinny person.
It's important to note that a choice can be harder for people to make due to conditions in their life. Yes. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's still a choice. I could say that I had food addiction. I looked to food when I was stressed and this and that and this. And so it's harder for me to choose it than for someone who has the perfect lifestyle.
I am so in agreement with Dominic. And that's exactly what I was saying. It is a choice. It might be easier or harder depending on your situation. But at the end of the day, it's still a choice, and he is absolutely correct. Okay, let's move on to the next prompt.
I would rather be skinny than fat.
I think there's a lot of different struggles when it comes to being a bit bigger. So I do think for like an overall happy life and like zero struggle, I think I'd rather be skinny.
I am with the agreeers. I would rather be skinny. Granted, I am not technically fat, but compared to when I was super duper skinny to like how I am now, I will say that I would prefer to go back to that weight for a lot of reasons. Don't come for me for this, but mainly because it's more aesthetically pleasing, you know? Now, that's not to say if someone is a little bit on the bigger side, they can't be beautiful, or just because someone is skinny, it automatically makes them beautiful. But for the most part, it's more aesthetically pleasing when you don't have rolls everywhere and just things flapping everywhere. That's just the aesthetic part of it. And then also health-wise, you are at risk for a lot of things when you are overweight. So that's another reason why it's, you know, better to be at a healthy weight. But if we're going to be shallow, which I am a little bit, it's more aesthetically pleasing. That's it. Now let's hear what the disagreeers have to say.
And rather than trying to control my body to avoid that negative attention, I would prefer to address the situation as a society, make it more accessible for everybody to where we aren't feeling like I have to be a certain way that's normal in order to be treated like a human being and respected.
I can agree with what she's saying, and that was very well put. I think it's important for us as a society to understand that every single one of us does not share the same goal, and every one of us don't see ourselves the same way. For whatever reason, we're all going through different things. We all have our own journey, and we have to learn to respect people's choices, even if we don't understand them. And we have to learn also to agree to disagree. Moving on.
I am fairly skinny. I'm 6'5". I'm 140 pounds last time I checked, and I'm severely underweight. But I think it's important to understand for some skinny people, we're not living a great life by any means. And sometimes I feel like that's always kind of lost in translation.
I relate to what he was saying so much while thinking back on like the skinny me, because there is a way that you are. People just automatically assume that you don't eat when you're skinny. As a former skinny person, I was severely underweight to the point where my primary care physician used to like literally yell, like this guy yelled at me so much because he thought like I wasn't eating. I was like, I am eating everything, okay? People just assume that you don't want to gain weight. And to what the girl was saying, like, I was very, very, very insecure when I was super, super skinny, and I knew that I was too skinny. I wanted to gain a little weight, but not too much. I didn't want to have rolls. I just wanted to look less like a corpse because I was looking like a corpse. It was given corpse. I completely understand where he's coming from.
America has an obesity problem.
Yes, we have an obesity problem, but let's hear what the folks have to say.
People are heavier now in an unhealthy way, and people are eating unhealthy. They are eating it through unhealthy access to food. They're eating diets high in seed oils. They're eating high corn syrup. They're doing all this kind of stuff that's not good for them that we didn't used to do.
We all know America is a capitalist country, so anything that makes them money, they don't care how it affects the public. All they care about is, does this make them money? And sadly, everything is all tied together. Like the McDonald's that are down the street from you, all the fast food places that are down the street from you, or them making it quote unquote easy for you to get things delivered to your house. All of that is part of the plan, or part of the network that is all together for them to make money. Because if you have easy access to everything, you never leave your house, you don't step outside. If you do step outside to go to the McDonald's, you get in your car, you drive to the McDonald's, you go to the window, you order your food, then you sit in your car, you eat your food, and then you don't move. Now, if you're hungry, you can just grab your phone and you order something and they deliver it right to your front door. Yes, it's convenient, but is it really helping you? They don't have your best interest at heart. They just want to make money.
And they're encouraging it with media. Not only the mukbangs, but also like Lizzo.
There's a big difference between the people who are telling people go out and get fat versus a Lizzo who's saying accept me the way I am.
She's not just saying accept me the way I am. She's dressing extremely scantily clad and then saying if you don't think that it's normal for a morbidly obese person to be wearing a G-string in the middle of public, then you're the problem.
There is a recent influencer that passed away from sitting around eating to gain an audience. They make this stuff appealing and they encourage it through the media to where people who do things like that can get a following, can get some incentives to like continue to do it and to continue to make it appealing for people to go out there and start doing that too. Also, to what the girl was saying with the Lizzo thing. First of all, I don't think anybody should be walking around in public with a G-string. Nobody should be showing their ass cheeks in public. Modesty, people. Modesty. Please bring it back. I don't condone that. I don't agree with it. I don't find it attractive for people to just be out here with your cheeks out in a G-string in public. It doesn't make sense. Save it for your man in your bedroom. That's what it used to be. It's very tacky and it's tasteless for people to just put a G-string on and think that it's okay. Who are you doing it for? Because you cannot tell me that, oh my gosh, I put a G-string on and I hit the streets because like I feel good about myself. No, you're doing it for attention. Because why couldn't you wear clothes? Like I'm annoyed with this. No, it doesn't matter who it is, skinny or fat. Don't like put on some clothes when you leave your house. Don't be out here in a G-string. No one wants to see it because it ain't cute. It ain't cute at all. All right, next prompt.
Fat shaming is worse than skinny shaming.
I disagree. I think shaming is shaming. If you're fat, you have insecurities. If you're skinny, you have insecurities. And I don't think one is worse than the other. Shaming is shaming. Like we all have insecurities with our bodies, whether fat or skinny. But where it gets a little different is when you get into the discrimination of it. Now, if you're discriminating against somebody because of the way that they look, then that's different. But I personally don't think that fat shaming is worse than skinny shaming. But let's hear what they had to say.
So I do agree that fat shaming is worse than skinny shaming. Just overall, entirely, the way that people like comment on people's weight compared to somebody skinny, they usually don't comment on somebody skinny. Yeah. They don't think there's something wrong with them.
So I know I've been agreeing with the agreeers, but this time I kind of like disagree with the first girl, because her thing was people comment a lot on fat people and they don't comment as much on skinny people. I mean, I get that. Being skinny is more accepted and it is more praised in society than being fat, because being fat is not the standard of beauty. Whether we like it or not, we live in a society that has some dumb, stupid rules. It is what it is. Okay, so being fat is not the standard of beauty for society, but being skinny is. So if you're skinny, you're already the standard of beauty. So people are not going to comment on that. But if you look like a toothpick, if you look like a corpse like I used to, that's not necessarily the standard of beauty. So I don't agree with her saying that they might tell a skinny person to eat a burger. That's assuming that we don't eat. Well, not we, because I keep saying we, I'm not skinny anymore. But that's assuming that skinny people don't eat the same way that people assume that fat people eat too much. They may not even be eating as much as we think they are, just like skinny people may eat more than people give them credit for. I used to tell people, yo, I can eat more than my whole entire household combined, but it was so hard for them to believe because it just didn't translate in the way that I looked. So I completely disagree with that. But let's continue.
Well, you could argue that shaming somebody in order to motivate them towards a healthy lifestyle is actually a good thing. Now,
it matters who says it, but I still would consider it to an extent shaming. And I'm okay with that. I think there is good shame. I think sometimes it helps motivate people in the right way.
I get what Dominic is saying. You can receive the message loud and clear. The message will most likely be louder than the shame, but the shame will still be there. But it's kind of like a shame that's not overpowering you to where you can still work through it because the message is louder. And that all has to do with who's saying it, what's your relationship to the person, and how it is that they're saying it. But overall, I think it was a really, really good panel. I think everybody had some really great points. I really, 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 really loved Dominic. He's very honest with himself and he's not delusional at all. He knows where he is and he doesn't make excuses for where he is, and he knows where he wants to go. On that note, this is all I have to say on this matter. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. And please, please, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in my next one. But until then, I hope to see you in the comment section. Bye.